Designer on the beat.
Hey y'all, hey Shan. Welcome back to my spooky channel. And YinCard, no, hey Shan. Double tap that like and sub button real fast. What's poppin'? I'm the pops at 10.
How you
What's
make it dip?
poppin', 10? I'm the pasta 10.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my spooky channel. If you are new here, hey, hi, my name is Brooke. I do have a dog named Indy. She's not in my video today because she's taking a ride right now. She's out there enjoying life. But if you are a returning spooky lover, hey, Sha, welcome back! Of course, you guys know it is always so nice to see you. First things first, how are y'all? Hit me up. I know life is hard. If you need an ear to vent to, I'm here. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that like button because guess what? Today's video, you guys, we are going to be part 2ing to true, creepy, dark web stories. These stories are truly traumatizing, like truly horror stories. These people are so strong, so brave, and it's safe to say that they've learned their lesson. Diving into our first dark web horror story uploaded by YinCard, we have a story of a case of never think it can't happen to you. This user was in a dark web chat room one day with what seemed to be real, true serial unalivers. In the middle of their discussion, this user proceeds to type out a comment about how everyone is sick and how they all deserve to... And that was his worst mistake yet.
I wasn't careful enough on the dark web. I now know why people go missing. You'd be surprised how many unsolved crime cases can be explained by the dark web. It's a breeding ground for psychopaths and evil humans to plan the most despicable and unimaginable crimes. That's why I became so interested in it. I'm not evil, but lots of my friends have accessed the dark web, kind of like a trend. I had to give it a go. Little did I know this would be the last time I'd ever experience freedom again. I had heard of the deep web horror stories of disgusting websites, hacking, people finding your address. But I never believed them since my college friends seemed fine. And even if the stories were true, maybe I could find them and report them to the police. Nothing bad ever happened to my friends, at least nothing that I knew of. So I decided to give it a go. I asked a friend to come over and help me set it up. When my friend arrived, we opened up my laptop and began to set everything up. My friend gave me a brief rundown and made it very clear that when I was using the hidden wiki, that I kept it on censored mode, so that it would be less likely for me to see something I didn't want to see. I listened to him at first anyway. But after a couple weeks using the deep wiki, I felt like a pro. I'd made friends and even bought substances for personal use. But this is where I went too far. I had become cocky and was ready to dig deeper into the dark web, so I turned off the censored mode. It took a while, mostly because Tor is a bit slow and many of the links just led to dead web pages. But eventually I stumbled onto a site called All the Blood. I had a fairly strong stomach, or so I thought. But after looking at a few different chat rooms, I noticed how sick this site really was. The people in these chat rooms were actual killers, bragging about some of the things they had done. One man by the name of Culture045 had the stage in one of the chat rooms. He was explaining in detail how he had broken into someone's house, kidnapped a little girl, and brutally murdered her parents by hiding under their bed and then opening their throats. I didn't believe it at first. This guy was probably just making it all up on the spot. That was until he sent the pictures. These were the most horrifying pictures I had ever seen. Close-ups of the poor 10-year-old girl being brutally beaten and cut with a knife. Then he showed a picture of him with a drill drilling into her skull. The most haunting part is that while he was doing it, he was looking at the camera with sheer joy on his face. I couldn't hold in my anger, which was the biggest mistake I could have ever made. I had seen enough and typed in the chat room window, "You people are sick and deserve to die. How can you sleep at night?" Immediately people began making fun of me, saying that I was just as helpless and ignorant as the little girl in the pictures and that I should get off the big boy part of the internet. They began saying I was a wimp and calling me an empath. That was when Culture045 started typing. He said, "Really? Where do you live, buddy? I'm sure everybody would love to see you on this site." I replied, threatening them, saying I'm calling the police and having this site shut down. Before I could even type another sentence, a new chat box appeared in green. In it, someone named Admin 1inch typed in the box. He said, "Call the cops and you will regret it." I didn't type anything in the box and reached for my cell phone. What happened next still haunts me to this day. My phone said I had a new message. I opened it and it said, "Call the police and you're dead." There was no number. It didn't even say unknown number. It was just blank. I looked back at my laptop and saw my webcam light turn on. I quickly covered it, but I saw on the screen a picture of me looking at my phone. I got wide-eyed and froze for a moment when the admin typed again. "Put the phone down right now and uncover your webcam." I put my phone down but kept the webcam covered. When he typed again, Okay then, be like that. Right after he posted my full name, age, and address in the chat box and typed, "It would be a shame if you and your college buddies went missing, wouldn't it?" I didn't listen to him. I shut down my laptop and called my friend David to come over straight away. I needed someone to stay over with me. He only lived a few houses down the block, so he ran over straight away and we called the police as soon as he got here. That was when I received another text. The message said, "Look out your window." My heart dropped. I knew exactly what was going to be there. We both crouched over to the window, slowly peeking our heads up, trying not to be seen. That's when we saw him. A man in the parking lot leaning up against a white van. He had a phone in his hand, and when I looked at him, he nodded.
There's a part 2, let's go!
When I looked at him, he nodded. My phone went off again. "Turn on your laptop now." We shut the blind straight away, not knowing we were making a huge mistake. We didn't know what else to do in this state of panic. A man outside our house and a whole chat room of killers coming after us. Despite the police saying they were on their way, they didn't sound too convinced on the phone. I can't imagine a story about a killer from the dark web is too believable for them. Another text. "I am coming in if you don't turn it on." I knew I shouldn't do it. My webcam was on. If I did it, they would see both me and David. It would be over for both of us. David ran and grabbed a baseball bat just in case the man outside tried to come in. About 5 minutes later, we heard the doorknob turning. It was locked, but we then heard banging at the door. We both freaked out and I looked out the window again. Sure enough, the man and the van were gone. The banging on the door got more and more violent, until eventually we heard a horrible scratching sound. It lasted a few more minutes and then we heard footsteps walk down the hall and eventually fade away. I received another text. "We will be back." That really got to me when the cops arrived. They told me to look at my door. I followed them back out into the hallway and saw engraved in our door my name. The police began investigating the whole building and they had a tech police officer come in and look at my computer. He began to do scans and investigate the weird software on my laptop. Eventually he managed to close and remove it, and told me that my laptop isn't safe. He said the core files of it have been hacked into, corrupted. We did a complete wipe of my laptop and he looked at my phone as well. Just like last time, he couldn't tell where the messages came from, and told me that they would be sure to keep some cops nearby in case this ever happened again. I could barely sleep that night. I still went into school the next day with David with me all the time. Both of us were petrified. The police had told us they were looking into the situation and ensuring our safety around the clock. But what could they really do if someone just came up behind us out of nowhere? I somehow survived the whole day of school. David had to stay at school for slightly longer to finish a project, so I went home and collapsed on my bed, exhausted from lack of sleep. That was when I heard it. I heard screams coming from my laptop. I ran over to my desk and lifted up my screen. My wallpaper was changed and an application filled the whole screen with what looked like a live stream. I couldn't exit out, and the live stream was coming from a boy's house. He looked about 13 or 14 and was at his computer. It was David's brother. It didn't take long for me to see that I was watching through his webcam and he had no idea. I saw a small chat box pop up in the top right of the screen, and in it someone typed in the box, "Welcome to our live stream. We are glad everyone could be here. Thank you, John, for being here as well." My eyes got very wide. My name was John, and they were waiting until I was watching to start the live stream. As I watched, I saw that the closet door behind the poor boy slowly opened, and a man walked out with a toolbox in one hand. He quietly set the toolbox down and pulled out some duct tape. He went behind the kid and put the tape over his mouth and grabbed him tight. The poor kid's face was in total fear. He tried to scream, but he couldn't because of the tape. They were making a decent amount of noise, so it told me that the kid must have been home alone. I tried hard to exit, but I couldn't. I saw the man take out a screwdriver and drive it into the kid's chest. Blood began to pour out and the kid made a full wheezing type noise. I saw tears come from his eyes as this sick man began to drive the screwdriver deeper and deeper. I can't even explain the horrors that I witnessed after that. It was disgusting. I noticed that in the chat box several people were cheering the man on and requesting for him to do different things to the boy. I was sick. I threw up all over the floor, and when I looked back, I saw in the chat box people typing in horrible things like, "Oh my God, that was so wonderful, thanks so much for doing this." In the box, I saw someone named Culture045 type into the box, "Thanks for the request, John, we did this for you." After that, the program closed on its own. I was sweating, breathing heavy, and feeling sick. Throughout the entire thing, I didn't realize that my phone had gone off several times. I looked at it, and the most hateful, mean messages were coming from my friends and family. I asked my mom what was wrong, and she texted back, "You sent that sick, disturbing live stream to everyone. You did this to David's brother. I can't believe who you are." Those monsters framed me. I saw the blue flashing lights outside and knew it was over for me. They had fabricated the whole thing, and there's no way the police would believe it was some people from the dark web. Take my advice, never go on the dark web.
Wow. We starting off strong, ain't we? Look at how being easily influenced can turn out for you. That is such a wow. Okay, first, how did they find him that fast? It seemed like they were outside of his window in approximately like 5 minutes. That poor little boy. Hey, this is a movie. I don't care how many of my friends is on the dark web. I would much rather hear their trauma story than to go through a situation like that with them. But if my friends are ever in a situation or danger like that, I'm coming. I'm gonna help out in any way I can. It's just, please don't put me in that situation. This next story, posted by Christopher Kiely, actually happened to him. Back in the day, Chris and his friends were surfing the dark web whenever they came across a live stream of them.
We're sitting there and we're like, that kind of looks familiar. That background looks the same. So we end up clicking the link and there we are. We're all right there, HD 1080p being streamed from the laptop that we're using right now onto the dark web. I saw myself on the dark web. Now, I know what you're thinking, Chris, what are you talking about? So this story takes place back in 2014 where me and my friends were just starting to listen and learn about the dark web. This is when the horror story genre kind of popped. People were telling stories about red rooms, hitmen, buying all of this weird stuff online. And we said, you know what? We want to dive on there and see what's going on. Now, at the time, I was the only kid in my group who had our own computer. Everyone else had family computers, but we weren't able to use those, especially during a sleepover. So prior to the sleepover, I had been on the dark web before. I downloaded Tor, I knew about VPNs. I was a pretty tech-savvy kid. It wasn't to the point where I knew everything. I wasn't fully able to protect myself while on the dark web. But I also never went too far on the dark web by myself because, to be honest, when I was a kid, I was scared. I didn't know what would happen. I thought people would find my address and come to my house and unalive me or kill me or do this or do that. And I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of scary. So at lunch, me and my friends decide, you know what, we're gonna plan a sleepover. I'm gonna bring my computer and we're gonna go on the dark web and see if all of these weird facts and stuff like that is true. Because as I said, at the time, the horror story genre was popping with red rooms, hitmen stories, things that are absolutely out of this world. And as a kid, you think, dude, there's no way that's real. There's no way there's a dark place on the other side of the internet that allows you to do all of these crazy things without getting in trouble. So we said, you know what, let's give it a try. The Friday night comes, we end up going to my buddy's house, having pizza, everything's fine. It hits around 11:30, and we're like, you know what, let's load up the PC and let's see what's going on. I load up the Tor browser, I load up the VPN, and we're there. We're now surfing the dark web, clicking random links because that's what stupid kids do, especially when seeing something new for the first time. We wanted to see the craziest and most shocking things possible. But instead of seeing something insanely shocking, we end up coming across this website that allows you to access other people's video cameras, usually installed on like a laptop or if they have a little webcam. Now we end up clicking that link and it doesn't only have webcams and little laptop cameras. It also has the Ring doorbells. You're able to see all of the things posted around the city, and it's honestly pretty cool. Now, of course, as kids, we end up clicking the webcam section, which has to be illegal at some point, but most of the time when a webcam lights up, it lights up blue. You're able to see that you're being filmed, but all of these people had no idea. It was pretty much like unsuspected people that we were kind of like peeping on. Most of the time, it was like college students or older people on their laptops playing solitaire. And after a while of going through these and watching these, we're laughing, everything's fine. We end up clicking the next page, and I swear to you, we end up seeing a group of kids looking at a computer laughing. And we're sitting there and we're like, that kind of looks familiar. That background looks the same. So we end up clicking the link and there we are. We're all right there, HD 1080p being streamed from the laptop that we're using right now onto the dark web. Now, of course, at that time, there are millions of things going through your head. Is someone going to show up here? Are the cops coming? What did we do? We were just trying to have fun. And at the time, like I said, I figured that I knew what was going on. I thought the VPN was working. I thought we were good. But of course, I never disabled the webcam, which allowed the website or the virus on the website to infiltrate my computer and upload a full live video feed of me and my friends onto the dark web on some random webcam site that allows you to literally see other people's things in their room through their webcam without them knowing. Now, I'm not gonna lie, as soon as this happened, we slammed the laptop closed, I removed the battery, and we didn't turn it back on for the rest of the night. Now, did anything come of it? No, nothing came of it. No one said anything. We all kind of kept it low to the cuff because if I told my parents, hey, look, I was on the dark web, one, they would have taken my computer. Two, if my friends' parents found out that I had their kids on the dark web, dude, we wouldn't be able to hang out anymore. Now, I'm gonna be honest, that was probably one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me on the dark web because of the fact that we had no idea what was going on. We were just unsuspected kids just surfing the dark web for fun, came across a website, not thinking of anything, and then bam, all of a sudden we are now on the dark web. And I'm gonna be honest, it was terrifying. But that is one of the first times I've ever surfed the dark web and one of the scariest stories that's happened to me on the dark web. Obviously, there's some more crazy stories that I have, but I kind of wanted to let you guys know, like, look, I'm gonna try the story time thing. I enjoy it. If you guys have stories that you want to submit, I would love to start telling your guys horror stories in this style because this is a lot of fun. But hopefully you guys did go and enjoy today's video, and if you did, don't forget to drop a like on it, comment down below.
Truly terrifying. I would have been out the door headed to Houston, Shaw. It don't take much for me. It do not take much for me at all. The feeling I would have had in my stomach, I would have thrown up. I know I would have. This next story is uploaded by no stranger to this channel, Austinvro. Austin goes ahead and explains the story of a guy who became really close friends with this other guy through the dark web. Now, everything was going fine until one day the friend sends the user a link. And when he clicked on the link, he was sick.
Scariest dark web stories, part 1. Okay, so there was once this guy who did nothing else but play on the dark web. He would skip basketball practice to play on it. He would be up late at night. I mean, he was on it 24/7. So like everybody else, he wanted to meet a friend. So he went on this chat room, and him and this guy, they did nothing but share funny videos back and forth with one another through the dark web chat room. So over the course of the next 3 months, they ended up building a really, really good friendship. Well, that was until his so-called friend sent a link. So once the man clicked the link, to his surprise, there was a live stream playing. And there were over 100 people in this chat room watching this live stream. So as he was watching this live stream, a woman who was tied up, being carried by a man with a black mask, popped into the screen. The man then said on the camera he wanted everybody in the chat room to vote which weapon he should use on this woman. There was a flamethrower, boiling water, and a gun. The chat then voted on the boiling water, and they put this woman in the boiling water on live stream.
I couldn't find part 2, y'all. I looked so hard for it. But I came to the conclusion that he just didn't make it because the comments is still asking for a part 2. This story though, I mean, what else could you really expect meeting a friend off the dark web? But watching a woman being put into boiling water? I can't. Our last and final story time today we have is uploaded by Lucid, another comment on this channel. Now, Lucid tells us a story of a poor soul who was forced into something that they absolutely did not want to be a part of.
I was accidentally invited to a dark web video call. I didn't mean to click the link. When I received a random email containing a strange link, I knew it was some kind of a virus. Yet, when I moved my mouse to delete the message, my finger slipped. I pressed the link, and immediately my screen went black. I began to mentally prepare myself to lose all my personal files, but as I went to shut off the PC, my screen changed. A pop-up appeared resembling a Zoom call, but without any Zoom branding. The largest video feed with a sign dangling close enough to the camera for me to read, "Please wait, meeting will begin temporarily." I always had my webcam blocked, and for that I was glad, for the other feeds began turning on, and I definitely didn't fit into this group of freaks. No one had their faces exposed. Everything from glittery half masks you'd expect at a masquerade to disturbing rubber clown masks. I would have been the odd one out if they saw me, and I already knew I didn't want them to see me. Some of them clearly knew each other, greeting each other like old friends, but there were also some newbies like myself. I discreetly managed to mute my mic before there was any chance they'd hear my voice. "Oh, number 1203, you're also new, what can we call you?" Unfortunately, I was called out by a lady labeled Trist, who wore this jester mask that covered her entire head. I almost panicked before I realized there was a chat box. Thanking my lucky stars, I decided that would be my name. I typed Lucky Star in the chat. "Great to meet you, Lucky Star. I'm glad you've accepted the invitation. I'll change your screen name real quick." I figured the best choice would be to sit through this and then skedaddle the moment it was all over. It would be way too awkward to leave now that I had a nickname and everything. Everyone seemed friendly enough. I got a few hellos, and someone in a pig mask managed to snort and say my name at the same time. It was kinda entertaining, and it wasn't like I had anything better to do. God, how I'd regret that. The sign in front of the largest feed twitched before it was yanked from the picture. Chatter spiked before everyone started shushing each other and muting their mics. It was like the lights dimming in a theater. Time to be quiet. The show was about to begin. A man walked into the frame, and like the others here, he was wearing a mask as well. It was a wolf mask. It covered the upper half of his face and appeared to be made of wood. When he spoke, his low voice was quiet, but it commanded respect. "Good to see we've all made it. I hope our new friends are ready to participate." I didn't like the sound of that. I wanted to close out of the call right then and there, but that's when I realized there wasn't a hang-up button. Nope. I had to ride this one out with everyone else and pray I would go overlooked. The host, who I now realized was labeled Wolf, vanished. There were some banging sounds, and then Wolf dragged a person tied to a chair in front of the camera. Yeah, I realized pretty quickly this was nothing I wanted to be a part of. Now, our guests need to decide what we do. Wolf approached the camera, and I saw his eyes through the mask. They were cold and unfeeling. He glanced over the screen. "Piggy pig pig, what should we do first?" Piggy squealed and barely managed to make out the words, fingers and off between the pig-like grunts. "Basic. Good start, though." Wolf disappeared again, but he wasn't gone for more than a few seconds before he returned with a cleaver. He didn't hesitate before bringing them down on his victim's right hand. Off came the fingers. The whole room cheered, and I puked on the floor. The poor tied-up bastard wailed, begging the wolf to let him go. Wolf didn't care what he wanted. He just turned to the chat again. "And what should we do now?" Barn suggested Wolf tear out his teeth. Wolf produced some pliers and ripped out all of the victim's front teeth, leaving his mouth a bloody, mangled mess. Another viewer suggested they cut off his ears. It was done. I vomited again. I wanted this to be over. Then Wolf called on me. "Lucky Star, I understand you're shy about your voice. That's all right. Just type whatever you're thinking into the box." Cold sweat poured down my neck. I felt all eyes metaphorically on me. If I didn't say something, they'd get suspicious, and I didn't want to be the next one in the chair. So I gulped down the bile in my throat and typed out the first thing that came to mind. Can you stick his fingers in his ear holes? There was a brief pause, and then Wolf laughed. It was the most disturbing sound I'd ever heard. The rest of the room joined in the laughter, and I thought for a second I'd fucked up. That's a new one, the wolf chuckled. We should have invited you sooner. I love the creativity. That settled. Wolf picked up one of the thumbs and proceeded to force it deep into the man's ear. The sound that poor bastard made will haunt my nightmares forever. A pointer finger joined it, and in the other ear he managed to fit 2 pinkies and an index. The man started howling, and Wolf chuckled again. He's deaf now. I think I popped his eardrums with that. The show continued, finally ending with Trist saying the time was up and Wolf should wrap things up. Wolf nodded before he took a knife and cut the victim's throat. By that point, it was a mercy killing. Wolf waved goodbye. I thought that was finally it. I could forget I ever saw any of this, but he signed off with a message that made my blood run cold. Good night, everyone. And as tradition, I can't wait for Lucky Star to host the next one.
Oh, this is sick. Lucky Star. Your stars are not so lucky, baby. You gotta host the next round. The fact that people really be going through this stuff, and the fact that there's really people who's the last thing that they see is their kidnapper talking into a camera and taking commands. It's truly terrifying and sick, and I just really want you all to be safe. Please, just avoid it altogether. Just avoid the dark web, deep web altogether, all of that. Because they are 2 separate things, if y'all didn't know. So this video had my stomach twisting in ways I didn't even know a stomach could twist, okay? All of these stories are really opening my eyes, like, Brooke, there's so much more horror stories than just paranormal or the weird creatures that are caught on camera. We really have to watch out for even our own kind. That is sad, y'all. Stay safe. If you haven't already, give this video a like, and if you aren't already, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Hit that bell notification to get notified every single time I post a spooky episode. And once again, you guys, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you for your comments, for your likes, for your views. Just, even if you watch it for 2 minutes, that's a view. Thank you. I love y'all so much. Thank you again, and bye, Sha.
Yeah.